with many, many labor organizations of the AFL-CIO to present what we feel is one of the best pieces of legislation in many, many years, probably over 50 years, the Employee Free Choice Act. We stand here strong in solidarity to talk about members and employees and people out in the community that work, that want to seek, join, or even form a union, that get intimidated, coerced, threatened, and even fired because of their activities of what they can do under the National Labor Relations Act. So we stand strong here today to talk about legislation that is in Capitol Hill, on Capitol Hill, with Congress, with the U.S. Senate, and before us here today, we do have a member of the City Council, Cynthia Willie-Lewis, our council lady, and a good friend of working families and working people. And let's give her a big round of applause, because Cynthia Willie-Lewis not only supports this legislation, but I told her about our 1.5 million members that have signed cards and petitions and sent them to Washington, to the U.S. Senate and the U.S. Congress. And she said that when she finishes making her presentation, she will be the 1,501st person to sign this to get it to Washington. So let me introduce Cynthia Willie-Lewis, our council lady.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here with this great labor family on behalf of the national, state, and local AFL-CIO, all of its chapters and affiliates, to say that this is the voice of the working man and of the working woman who by the sweat of their brow have built America and is building New Orleans. So I thank the labor movement for coming here immediately following the devastation of Katrina with your $1 billion in your trust fund that made a difference in housing and in employment opportunities, in workforce redevelopment, so that the next generation could be trained and prepared, and New Orleans could be rebuilt by New Orleanians with self-sufficient wages, with union benefits, with pensions and retirement plans. These are the advantages that we fight for, and in unity there is strength. Now, this current situation of addressing the wrongs of the National Labor Relations Act, the new measures of the Employee Free Choice Act, are to end a lot of the controlling devices that eliminate democracy in a democratic movement. When all of the power is in the hand of the employer, when all of the controls and the dissemination of information is one-sided, then you do not have freedom, you do not have democracy, and you certainly don't have choice. What you have is manipulation, and that is not American. And so I am so honored to join this great team of men and women who have made a difference in the city of New Orleans, in the state of Louisiana, and in the face of democracy, particularly in the presidential election most recently, with the Democratic wave that is making a statement about the value and the importance of the average man on Main Street. And we are going to make sure that on Main Streets we have union shops. We're going to make sure that on Main Street we have green construction opportunities. We're going to make sure that we have workforce development programs so that the children coming out with diplomas can go and get certified and then join and make $40,000, go into a union program and come out making $60,000 by simply showing up and going to work. This makes for the difference in the economic viability of a community and the sustainability of our families. And I'm honored to be here and so grateful for the value of the contributions that the thousands of members of the AFL-CIO have made to this great city. And Tiger, I'm ready to sign on the dotted line.
Now that's a lady that has our support in every way, shape, and form. And with that, we're going to make you the 1,501,000 person.
Well, I grew up in a family of 12, so I'm used to being in big numbers. All right. God bless you and this effort.
Thank you, Council Lady Cynthia Wheeler-Lewis. That is a hard act to follow, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, you know, as we were saying earlier, it's the employer. It's nothing about a secret ballot. The employer is the one that makes the Celsius list for the National Labor Relations Board that shows who is eligible to vote and who's not eligible to vote. He knows who's taking part in those elections, and he's the only one that knows who's taking part in all those elections. There's nothing about a secret ballot or an open ballot here. It's about the right ballot. So with this, I'm going to turn it over to our next speaker, and that's Karan Blake, the Director of Interfaith Worker Justice Committee. Karan.
Thank you very much. That is a hard act to follow. So the question is often asked, what has the faith community to do with labor? The answer is very simply everything. As people of faith, we believe that we are made in the image of God and that the work of our hands is our way of participating in the creative agenda of God. It is through our work that we shape our communities, and it is through our work that we actualize the God-given gifts and abilities and skills. To that end, we believe firmly that work should be honored and rewarded with decent pay and done under conditions that affirm the dignity and value of the worker. Unfortunately, those conditions have not always been met, and working people find themselves hard-pressed to meet some basic necessities. The record is clear that it is through collective bargaining, it is through exercising the right to form unions that working people often have the chance to improve the conditions under which they live and under which they work and ultimately live. As people of faith, we feel that any action that threatens the right of workers to form unions is immoral and ungodly. The truth is, however, that that right has been under attack for decades, and too many people have lost their jobs and have suffered unmentionable assaults as they attempt to improve the conditions under which they work and the quality of their lives. Interfaith Worker Justice of New Orleans supports the Employee Free Choice Act because this piece of legislation will improve the quality of life for working people all over Louisiana. As times get harder, it is critical for us to support efforts that will protect those who are the least among us and those who are the most vulnerable. These are the basic principles upon which our faith traditions stand. And we urge religious leaders all across this city and across this state to stand in solidarity with workers and to pass this monumental piece of legislation. Thank you, and God bless you.